Hi guys, hi Royston. I'm doing really well, thank you. How are you? Hope the markets are treating you well. As usual, guys, just give it a couple of minutes before I get rolling with this. We're going to go over, obviously, the data that has come out. Some unemployment data dropped lower than expected. So the dollar's had a little bit of a boost up. So looking to see if that dollar strength is going to try and re-enter the market. Obviously, we also had some data this morning. Services and manufacturing PMIs came out of Europe and the UK, and we're just waiting, I believe, on the US dollars, which is meant to be at 2:45 p.m. GMT. That's for me. So in the next sort of 45 minutes or 43 minutes or so, we should get the flash manufacturing and services PMIs out of the US. So hoping that this one could come in a little bit better as well. I've actually been short euro dollar today. I was long yesterday, and I ended up coming out of my position just after the FOMC meeting minutes. I just didn't like the look of the price action, and subsequently missed out on a 52 pip rally. So I thought I'll try and get a bit of revenge on it today. Probably revenge is the wrong word to be using, but I thought I'd have a little look to see if there was any kind of opportunities on euro dollar today after the services and manufacturing PMIs, which came in a lot better than anticipated. We were expected a little bit more of a steadier incline here, but if you go into manufacturing services PMI here, we're really looking for anything sort of above 50. That kind of indicates industry expansion. Below indicates contraction. So there's still contraction, just not as aggressive as what we've seen previously in the past. So still thinking that the ECB could potentially be one of the first central banks to cut interest rates. So we'll keep an eye on that data, especially if we can look at the German manufacturing PMI and services there. Look at that German manufacturing PMI is 42.3. Not looking good in Germany at the moment. You know, Germany very into sort of the manufacturing in Europe. So it'd be interesting to see if the ECB are going to try and cut interest rates to try and help Germany out, basically. So yeah, ended up short in euro today, which I'll go over in a little bit. Was long yesterday, so I can talk you through those. Just a few messages coming in. Royston, I'm good, thanks. How's Dad doing? He's doing all right. Yeah, I was out with him yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before? No, Tuesday. I was out with him on Tuesday. Yeah, he's doing really well, thank you. Hope your family are well. Been long WTI, but closed my trades as it's pulling back. Yeah, I can see a bit of dollar sort of strength coming back into the market. I haven't actually looked at oil myself, so we can have a little look at that today. I know you've been trading oil a fair bit, so hopefully that's been going very well. Yeah, we maybe come back into those 79 highs, haven't we now? Having a little bit of a rejection there at the moment. So I'll have a little look at that in a little bit, in a bit more detail. Vincent, good afternoon. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well too. Thank you for joining, Vincent. And Irfan as well. Thank you for joining. Afternoon to you. But yeah, let's go have a little look then. So just jumping back over onto that data, sorry. The reason why we're seeing a little bit of this dollar strength in the market, let me just change the view here so you can see that a little bit better, is this unemployment claims. 1:30 p.m. unemployment claims down to 201k. We're actually expecting a jump up from 213 to 217. So labor statistics still looking pretty good in the US. Another fall in those unemployment claims. So this is going to increase that rhetoric from the Federal Reserve that they're not looking to cut interest rates anytime soon. I don't know how that's affected the sort of probabilities of a cut in the next meeting, I imagine it would have severely sort of damaged those hopes of the analysts and traders expecting that cut. Didn't see the cut coming myself. Maybe later this year there could be something that happens that will sort of create that, but at the moment I don't really see that. That's why I'm still a dollar bull at the moment. I still expect some dollar rallies. Now we do have manufacturing and services PMI coming up, so that could put a little bit of a dampener on the current rally that we're seeing. But still, I still quite like dollar longs at the moment. If we just flick over to that US dollar index, let's go take a look at what's going on there. I can see that obviously price has come into that area at 103.50 now. Now, 103.50 was an area that we were interested in the past. It was this sort of area of consolidation. Again, what does consolidation breed? It breeds volume. Market has come back down into that area. We're starting to see a strong rejection of that volume now, in line with the data. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a move from the dollar index, which brought it back above 104.50. Obviously, 104.50 was a sort of previous resistance level that we had marked out. We had an initial reaction. Price did close above it, but has since obviously sort of retreated away from that area. But I quite like the idea of the market continuing to push to the upside here for the US dollar. So it'd be interesting to see, can we get this kind of close here? Maybe going into the next trading session tomorrow, we might get a bit of a pullback before that sort of continuation there. Talking about sort of dollar data, there's not really any more high impact data after this one coming up at 245. So I'll probably stay on and to see how the market reacts to that data. Obviously, we don't really want to see anything miss to the downside too aggressive. That could cause the dollar to move lower, could cause the dollar to breach 103.50. But other dollar data has been pretty good. So I'm kind of on the side that the dollar is still bullish until we get some kind of real significant change, which for me would probably come if it did get that close below 103 spot 50. That being said, dollar longs look good. So I've been looking at sort of dollar yen longs, dollar Swiss longs, euro dollar shorts. Now, euro dollar was a very interesting market for me recently. Like I said to you earlier in the stream, I actually went long yesterday and then went short today. So I'll take you through kind of my theory around that and why I was kind of looking to go long, essentially targeting this area. Now, I didn't hold it all the way to that. I actually came out way too soon. FOMC meeting minutes happened last night. We saw a little bit of movement. I just didn't like the way price action was looking. And because my bias was to be bullish on the US dollar, buying euro dollar was a little bit of a sort of step outside of what I really like to do. You know, if I was really confident that the dollar was going to get sort of bullish again, I would have just traded the sort of entry that I did today instead of trying to sort of buy to the level and then come away from it. So not too disappointed, but obviously price has kind of continued higher. But anyway, what I was looking at was the fact that we traded above the 1.0800 level. We held above that level, and you know me, this area here would have been a huge area of volume. We would have had low volumes here. Price moves very quickly through this area. Now, obviously, if you look a little bit further back as well, there's this kind of block of volume. If we were to put a sort of volume profile over the whole thing, it would have been in sort of two sections there. So almost the theory was we're either going to get accepted back into this volume area with that sort of low volume push that we saw and travel up to the other side of it, which we did up to that 1.080. And this would be an area where I could expect a little bit of potential selling to come into the market. So if I just bring down my trade terminal here. So this is my MT5. You can see here live, and you can see went long here, exited my position. So basically bought pretty much at the low of the day, exited when price was kind of failing at the high of the current day. So essentially, this was the Asia session highs. My sort of secondary target was the high from the previous day. Okay, third target was up at this zone in here, but I closed all my position down when we entered that Asia high. And the reason why I kind of closed it off was because price was closing in below those previous lows. So for me, I didn't see the potential for price to continue. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so you can see it in a little bit more detail. Yeah, so basically entered here, exited at this point, and yeah, I managed to get a few pips out of it. Was happy with that kind of performance. Pretty much lowered the day into the high of the day, and then today ended up going for a short position in here. Like the fact that we came up into a higher time frame resistance level. Okay, was happy to be short euro dollar because I believed in that potential for the US dollar strength. The market came in, kind of formed a sort of lower high at this point. So yeah, ended up taking a short position on the sort of 5-minute time frame at that point. And recently banked just after the data dropped. I mean, look, price is still kind of continuing, but I was looking left and I was looking at this kind of zone in here where the market could have come into and found a little bit of support. So happy with those two trades there. I think they've played out pretty well. I was, really happy with those positions. But like I said, I do feel that the US dollar could continue to get stronger. So that's the play that I'm looking at the moment. So I'm also currently long dollar yen. So we'll go over that as well in a little bit. But any questions so far, guys? Hopefully everyone's following along. Let me know what you guys are up to as well. Yeah, what kind of markets have you been trading? Let me know. I know Royston's been trading the oil markets, which is cool. Haven't really looked into oil myself. I was a big sort of advocate for looking at sort of silver longs above 23.50, but price hasn't kind of traded above them yet. So the start of the week, we actually saw sort of a retracement down, and we've just been kind of holding here, which is quite interesting considering the fact that obviously the dollar's getting stronger at the moment. So I did kind of point out a little area of support where the volume starts picking back up again, and it's towards this sort of 22.60 area. So maybe if price can pull back into this area, we could look for a potential long at that point. But let's go actually take a look at the currency strength meter pairs. So what I do is every week is we kind of talk about the currency strength meter. You can see here I've got this kind of currency heat map, and this is what I follow on a week-to-week basis. Okay, this is what I follow on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. I look at the currency strength meter. It gives me some sort of ideas of what to look for. I then look at the monthly, weekly closes. I then do a little bit of daily trends analysis and then monitor the pairs on a day-to-day basis. So I can take you through a few of those. Sorry, a couple of questions came in. I took Oz long yesterday and give away all the profits today, closed at break even now. Yeah, that's a tough one. I've been watching Aussie US dollar quite closely as well, actually. It's not necessarily on my list to be involved. You can see here it doesn't have a green sort of label next to it. I'm not involved with it because I actually like the idea of being a buyer of the Australian dollar, but only against certain currencies. So I've been looking at sort of Aussie Swiss long. I've been Aussie Swiss long, Aussie yen long, potentially Euro Oz short, Pound Oz short. Didn't necessarily like it against the dollar because I like the idea of being a buyer of dollar as well. So we'll go check out. Sorry, I'll just see another question as well. Dennis, is this live stream going to be available later today? Yeah, absolutely. Once the live stream is done, it will be uploaded onto YouTube. You just need to go into the Blueberry Markets YouTube page, and under the live tab, it'll be there as a recording, so you can watch this a little bit later on. Going on to Aussie US dollar then. So I can understand why you're looking at Aussie longs, to be honest. We came into this area of support down towards 64.50. We've been fairly bullish off of that. I've just been watching this daily time frame though. 65.50 seems to be a little bit of a sticking point for price. So we'll just kind of bring this down here. 65.50. You can see there's lots of wicks going on. Market has recently tried to sort of break into this area here. And for me, I like to look at the daily closes. It kind of gives me an idea that where or if there is any kind of momentum behind it. And when it starts to see sort of low ranging daily candlesticks, I mean, you're very experienced anyway, Irfan. I know you talk about a lot of markets in here, so you probably know this already. But from my point of view, looking at that area there just looks a little bit congested. You know, we've got this kind of volume back up in here. You know, I wonder if we've actually come back into sort of the point of control of that area. I'd be interested to see that. Fairly close. I mean, point of control 65.95. High of that candle is 65.95. So pretty much bang on point of control of this volume area, and the market has started to kind of push away from that. But like I said, I quite like the idea of the sort of Australian dollar moving to the upside. Just don't like it against the dollar at the minute. I think if we close back below 65.50, then, you know, might see a little bit more downside here, depending on this data that's coming up for the dollar as well, of course. See some other messages in here. Hi, do you have a Philippine-based support team, customer retention officer? I'm looking forward to that account. Thank you. Yeah, Paolo, we do have a Philippine-based support team. Yeah, absolutely. You'll probably find more information about that on the website, or you can chat to the support team. They will know a lot more than me. But I know that we do have a team. Fun again, my TP was 0.66, just missed by 4 pips today. That's gutting, that is. That is gutting, yeah. I like the idea of targeting the whole psychological number as well. One trick that I got taught by this trader that I know, who I was kind of working with for a while, he would always put his TP below the major level or above it, depending on what direction he was trading. So he would be 10 pips below 0.66. He'd always come in at sort of 65.90. And the reason being as well is because depending on what kind of broker you trade with as well, and the spreads that you have and that you use and what type of account you use in, can also depend on whether you kind of exit a position successfully or not. And 65.90 would have been a really great area because it would have covered your sort of spreads as well to be able to get out. You miss out on that little bit of profit, of course. But yeah, I like the idea. If you see that your target is at a whole number, I always try and come in a little bit before that. But that's unfortunate. I'm sure you'll get another opportunity somewhere else and on a different kind of currency pair. So hopefully you can recover quickly from that one. And to be fair, to come out of it at break even, it's not a loss, is it? It's not a loss. You're still there to fight another day. That's the way I would look at break even trades. Don't see break even trades as bad things at all. It's just, you know, the market is going to do what the market wants to do. You've just got to try and scale it as best you can. Okay. Now going on to a few of these. So like I said, euro dollar was kind of looking for a bit of an opportunity on that this week. Dollar yen, dollar Swiss were really the ones that I was looking for opportunities on. So let's go on to dollar yen and let's have a little look at how this market has started to sort of perform. Now, it's been a bit of a slow week. Market is pretty range bound at the moment, but it is holding above 149.70 and is clearly trading higher at the moment. So still like longs here on dollar yen. Like the idea of potentially seeing a move up towards this 151.80 zone, which were the highs that formed in 2023. So still like the idea of being long this market. These highs here that you can see that formed back on the 13th of November is something where I think would be good targets for dollar yen long. So yeah, like the idea of that. Just kind of looking at where you could potentially set up an area of interest. The area that I was long from was down here. Okay, so I like to be looking at those areas where you can find support from lows. Okay, and also other confluences. I've got the 50 moving average there. Might not be confluence for most people, but I can see that price reacted from it before quite nicely. So I ended up going long in and around this area here, and currently in this position we've had a nice little breakout as well of trend line resistance here. So that can also be a trend continuation signal for a move higher. Might get a pullback, okay, might get a move back lower, but I think looking at this 4-hour time frame, if it can continue to kind of remain above previous lows now, so this low, for instance, that formed, if price can stay above this, so if we come back in it and then kind of hold here, you know, I think that maybe we could continue to push to the upside. So yeah, currently trying to look at a position, or well, currently in a position on dollar yen. You know, I can maybe try and scale into this if it continues to do the right things, make the right noises. But we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, we've got high impact data coming up at 2:45, so the trade might not even survive. You know, it may move quite aggressively lower. It might take me out. We'll have to wait and see. But trend is to the upside. Analysis suggests that I should be over a sort of longer period view, be bullish this market. So I'm willing to kind of hold on to that at the moment. And again, like dollar Swiss long, watching it closely if it comes back a little, especially around 87.50. Yeah, I like dollar Swiss longs. I've been trying to look for an entry into dollar Swiss long for a few days. This is why I quite like the daily time frame as well. So when I get sort of a bullish candlestick in line with my bias, that kind of gives me my first sort of in terms of, I like to look at the next day to see how or if there are any opportunities to try and kind of get involved with the market. I like this sort of daily low that formed just below this 0.88 handle. We've also got volume down in here where the market has come into as well from that recent data and has rejected. So I like this a lot. You know, I think if we actually get a strong daily bullish close here, it can really give us some potential setups going into tomorrow. What I kind of look for is, if we look at the hourly chart here, you know, I'd be really kind of trying to own in on sort of areas of support and resistance. But just actually bring on the session breaks. This is, so the dots basically just covering those sessions. So that was yesterday. This is today. I try and look for areas within this area where it makes sense to look for longs. So for me, I like to look at either previous kind of structure lows, which would be down towards that 87.50 area that you've pointed out there, Irfan, or I'll be looking at sort of areas on a lower time frame. Obviously there's you know, a big sort of move that's happened there, so we might have to look at a little bit higher. Maybe that 87.60 and above could be a good area to look for a continuation to the upside. So I don't actually think that pullback there is too sort of far out of the question. What I would say is, looking at the 4-hour time frame though, this zone could span all the way up to 87.70. So maybe we can look for a little bit of a sort of retest in the zone. That could give us an idea of a potential opportunity for a long there. Now that we've broken 88, the sort of next level of resistance is up at that 89 handle. So I think that could be a good area to target. You know, we've been pretty much calling dollar Swiss long since the 16th of January. And, you know, the market is going to pull back, okay, like this. You know, you're not always going to catch the right side of it, but that's led to a nice move higher. Ended up long in and around these areas here. Now it's pulling back, just looking to try and see if I can get in again. So like the idea of this moving higher. Again, might not be able to get anything today, depending on how sort of data goes. But if we wait for that daily bullish close, going into the next day, it could give us a potential opportunity as well. So yeah, quite like dollar Swiss. Other markets then. So Aussie Swiss longs were something to look out for this week. I've been Aussie Swiss long, ended up sort of out of this market now. I haven't actually got back involved with it. Let me turn those session breaks off. I haven't actually got involved with it again yet. So just kind of watching this one. But basically, weekly chart. Let's zoom in. Nice strong bullish candlesticks. Like the idea of being long here up into this sort of 58.50 potential if that Swiss franc does continue to weaken, obviously, and the Australian dollar gets a little bit stronger. But yeah, just basically looking to see if we can move back up to here. Like I said, I was long earlier in the week, and I just haven't looked for another position yet. I've been kind of focusing on that US dollar. So, but it's still one to sort of watch from the watch list. And I mean, it's done 28 pips to sort of 50 pip range. So yeah, I mean, it's done a pretty decent move considering the average can be around sort of 60, 70 pips on Aussie Swiss. So could see a little bit more upside to that. Timothy, do you use the 1-2-3 method in your analysis? What is the 1-2-3 method? If you don't mind me asking, because I've not heard of that. The way I break down the markets is I use a combination of sort of fundamentals alongside strength and weakness to show me sort of markets that I want to be looking at. Okay, then it's my sort of discretion on when using sort of my technicals then to see if the conditions what I like to see in terms of strategy. Okay, so I kind of look at it in a method of fundamental analysis and strength and weakness. Gives me the sort of idea of what could potentially happen with a currency pair or currency pairs or currencies on their own. I then go and look at those particular markets that have been sort of developed from this area. Once I've noted those markets down, I just kind of follow a simple technical analysis process then. So I try and look for markets that are trending more than anything. I do like trading ranges as well. If you've been around the channel a while, you'll know that I like to trade ranges, simple to look for. But essentially, I just kind of try and combo up multiple time frame analysis at that point, because I like to maximize risk reward ratios by trading lower time frames, but with a idea of sort of going with the overall longer term direction of a market. So yeah, I combo then the technicals, then conditions need to be met. So when I say conditions need to be met, I need to understand what conditions those markets are in. Are they in suitable conditions for me to want to trade in? Are they not? Is it something that I look at and just think I'm not confident with that market? You know, if so, I'll walk away from it. And then I just apply sort of simple strategy rules. So that can be, I've got a couple of methods. One's the sort of moving averages. You know, I look at sort of lows or highs being tested. You know, I also kind of look at volumes as well. So I kind of combo up a lot of different sort of techniques to try and find the sort of optimal entries. And that's when, I don't know if you're in here a little bit ago, but that's why I kind of created this currency heat map for myself, because it gives me an area of focus in the market. So like I said, this week I'm looking at dollar Swiss longs. We've had a couple of days of bearishness, but now, you know, if we get a day of bullishness, then going into Friday's trading, I can potentially look at some opportunities. Other markets that we've been kind of heavily involved with, Kiwi yen. I mean, I've left a lot on the table with Kiwi yen. If I actually just bring in my trade on Kiwi yen, I'll show you. I actually need to open the chart. Actually got rid of the chart thinking I've had a good run on Kiwi yen. I don't really need to get too much involved with it anymore. But yeah, I missed out a lot. So was long Kiwi yen twice. So I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if I can change these lines colors, but basically I'll show you on the tracker. So I entered here for my first trade. That rallied. I entered second here and exited my position here. And I mean, look how far price has gone since then. So I've left a lot on the table really on Kiwi yen. I should have left my second position open. But that also kind of came down from a stem of identifying that market is a good market to potentially trade. Were the conditions met? So ultimately, are we in a trending condition? Well, yeah, market's trading higher. We've got a 50 and a 200 moving average also showing me that. Where have I got involved with the market? It's in lows, right? The market formed a low here. It tried to kind of go lower, but just kept failing. So I ended up going long here and here. First exit is always at the first point of resistance. So that's at that previous structure high, because I don't know whether the market is going to hold at this level and move lower, or whether it's going to break through it. So that's why I have two positions on. Second position, I'd kind of leave open till where I feel comfortable with taking out, or a secondary position of resistance. And for me on this one, it was where I was comfortable to take that position off. But yeah, I mean, I missed out on a lot more here. You know, so that exit, 135 pips since then, 92 to 100 pips since that one as well. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but the kind of development of my currency heat map alongside currency strength and sort of fundamental bias kind of led me into going long on Kiwi yen. And I still like Kiwi yen long. If we go take a look at it, market is moving higher. Let me just go into a monthly chart and zoom back a little bit. This was the area where I thought might be targets. So 92 sort of 50, which were these highs that formed back on December 2014. So we're actually coming up into, I would say, a very, very significant level on Kiwi yen. Would I like to be long sort of where price is now? Probably not, but if we can get a pullback, we might get price revisiting that area of highs. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Sorry, Timothy, I hope that made sense from what I was breaking it down. The Victor Sperandeo technique. I've not heard of that. I'm going to Google that. Victorio. Oh, sorry, Victor. Sorry, Victor Sperandeo. Trader. Methods of Wall Street. Is a US trader indexed to a financial competitor. Let's have a look at his Wikipedia. Let's see if there's anything on there that gives away what the 1, 2, 3 method is. But yeah, to put it up, I've not heard of Victor before, but I'll go research it, see if there's anything that's there's anything we can always take away from it. Never shy from learning new things and learning other techniques, seeing what everybody else does in the market. Is that something that you follow? Let me know. But yeah, Kiwi yen making a big move to the upside. There is another level of resistance as well above this zone, which comes in around about 95.15. I'd probably round that up to 95.25 on the quarter, just to see, you know, if we did kind of go beyond those levels. So there is still opportunity for Kiwi yen to continue to kind of trade to the upside. Yen weakness is very obvious at the moment, and I think we should probably stick to yen weakness until we come and see real significant levels. What I mean by that is I'd be watching any kind of yen opportunities if dollar yen reaches back up at 151 sort of 40 and above, because obviously the last time we visited this area we had strong selling pressure. I mean, the market fell quite aggressively at that point from the high at 151 sort of 88 down, you know, that's a really significant fall from 151 spot 80s down to 140 spot 24s. That's like 1,100 pips. So I would expect, you know, a reaction around here. And like I said, if I'm trading Kiwi yen, okay, we have to understand I'm trading the New Zealand versus the US dollar versus dollar yen. Okay, so what do I really want to see? I want to see Kiwi dollar moving higher, and I want to see dollar yen moving higher, because you just got to X those off essentially. Let's get a different color. We X these off. That's what we're trading, right? So that's what I need to see. I need Kiwi dollar to move higher, dollar yen to move higher. Now, Kiwi dollar not necessarily moving higher, but it's in a range. Okay, it's in a trading range. So that helps in a way because the market's going sideways. Dollar yen, on the other hand, is moving higher. So that's where we can try and capitalize on the cross pairs by trying to find sort of areas where one major currency pair might be holding or moving differently against the dollar compared to the other one. And that's how the cross pairs will move. So if dollar yen continues to rally and kind of head back towards these swing highs, then I think yen across the board is a good idea to sort of look at until we reach that point. Once we reach that point there, I would be very wary of being long or selling yen, sorry. I would be very wary of that. So maybe Kiwi yen's got a little bit of more of a move to go until it kind of reaches those areas. So maybe there's a couple of ideas floating around. But the past couple of days, it's kind of moved overnight. Not really moved in the European session or even the sort of US session. It's kind of moved over in the Asia session, which makes sense. It is Kiwi yen, so that would be predominantly traded through the Asia sessions. But yeah, dollar yen breaking higher there, which looks nice as well. The only other markets that I really quite like the look of this week were sort of Euro Kiwi shorts. We have a look at it on a weekly chart. What has it done this week? It's down sort of 165 pips on the week. I was actually short this market, but I bottled it. I absolutely bottled it. Just to be open and honest, I was short, I think, in and around this area here. Price revisited. Oh, actually, no, it's here, wasn't it? I was short here. Let me see if I've got it still. Not got it open on my trade terminal anymore. Got rid of it. I was sick of looking at it. That's the wrong chart. Where's Euro Kiwi? There it is. Which is a little bit unfortunate because obviously I wanted to be short. But yeah. So past couple of weeks, it's been telling me to be short as well. And I ended up going short in here. Got myself out because I just didn't like the price action anymore. We were very sideways. And look what happened after that. And that just happens sometimes, you know. Sometimes you catch a good move and you can stay with it because it's kind of giving you the confidence to stay with it. You're seeing the right things. Sometimes when a market just starts to range and then break above an area of what you expected was resistance, closes in that, you're thinking, well, maybe it's a good idea to get out if I'm lucky enough to get back to break even from a risk management point of view, because what I wouldn't want to have done is held it after price broke through resistance. It then rallies, takes stops on the other side, and then moves lower. So my stop loss was above that swing high there, and I just thought in my head, well, what if price comes back up to here? Okay, then I could look to potentially get short. This would have been a stronger level of resistance for me. So I exited that position for a small profit, expecting that pull back up into the major highs here so that I could then look for another position. But yeah, it just took off. I mean, once it kind of broke those lows there, I was pretty sure that it would continue to sort of dive towards these weekly lows. But 174.50 was sort of targets there, so we'll see what happens there. Fan, what do you make of Swiss yen? Yeah, I've actually been watching Swiss yen today. We've been talking about Swiss yen for a while. This is one of those markets where I actually thought we'd get a breakout of the trading range. But, you know, again, this is why it's important to understand the market condition that you're in. Strength and weakness was suggesting at the time that we should be short Swiss yen. But when I got to the charts, I could see that we were in this key trading range in here. Okay. Now, if I want to be short and short for a while, do I want to go for a sort of market where it's range bound? No, I want to be in it if the trend is down. The trend is definitely not down. Okay. The market is very much bullish here. So what we were kind of looking for was if price would hold sort of below 169.75. Even better if it kind of broke 169. It never did that. Price just held. We tried to come back to it again, held again. But now we're at resistance. So it's funny you bring this up actually, Irfan, because I was looking to get short. I was looking to get short today. I just haven't had price come back into the area where I wanted to get short. Essentially, so I have a area of resistance marked out of 171.40. So let's dive in a little bit lower here. So essentially, watch this 4-hour rejection back at this resistance zone, which I like the look of. Thought it was a good look. Then prices continue to push down here, and I've been expecting a pullback. So 171.40 is kind of back at this kind of resistance zone in here. And that's what I've been waiting for. I've got an alert set here on my MetaTrader charts at 171.40. So I'm just going to have to wait. I think what I'll do is see how that daily close. Very similar to what we're going to do on dollar Swiss. See how the daily finishes. If I come to it and in the European session price is kind of up back towards the 171.50. This could be a good area to start looking to get short because I can have a stop loss above those highs there. First targets can be range lows. And then if it continues, maybe we can try and hold a position to the downside. I don't know what the specifications are here on MetaTrader. Let's have a little look. Swiss yen. I imagine holding Swiss yen short would be negative. Let's just see how negative though. Let's have a look. Specifications. Yeah, it's negative. The swap short isn't great. Swap longs are obviously better. Swap shorts aren't that particularly great, but it could give us still give us some opportunities, maybe on a short-term bias as well. But yeah, like I said, I do like this idea of being short Swiss yen. The only thing that kind of comes into the factor is, why is this market range bound? Well, it's because the Swiss franc's weaker and the yen's weak. So they're both just battling out at the moment. Almost like price has found fair value in this area. So it's just kind of, you know, continuing to sort of move around. So that data's just dropped, I can see. Let's have a little look at what that data has come out like. So manufacturing PMI actually up 51.5, services PMI down. So a bit of a mixed data drop there, to be honest. Nothing I would say that should shock the markets too much. But we should see, we've seen a little bit of dollar downside initially, but manufacturing PMI up is pretty good. Services PMI has dropped a little bit lower than than previous. I don't like the fact that that's been revised either. So it's been revised down from 52.9 to 52.5, but manufacturing has gone up from 50.3 to 50.7. A little bit of a mixed bag of data drop there. Unemployment claims still up, so we might just see a very short term sort of depreciation of the US dollar at the moment, which I can just see is kind of happening. But I wouldn't say anything too dramatic there. I'll have to wait and see. And that's kind of halved my profit on dollar yen. But we'll wait and see. I'm kind of happy to hold that. Vincent, what can I do to have a tighter stop loss? How tight are you? What are your stop loss at the moment? Are you using ATRs or? Look, I think stop loss placement is something that you've got to look into and what's personal for you. I only have a tight stop loss if I'm trading from real significant areas. So let's say you're trying to trade sort of in this sort of mess here. It's harder to have a tight stop loss because the market can kind of whipsaw about, right? This is why I try and trade from extreme levels. So, up here, for instance, down at these areas, for instance, is because if you are wrong, you're going to find out that you're wrong pretty quickly. And that's not always a bad thing. You want to have a tight stop loss in good areas. Okay. You want to make sure that I would say if you want to have tighter stop losses, you've got to be a little bit more patient and you've got to wait a little bit longer for your setup to kind of really come in. I use ATR on a 15-minute. Yeah, ATRs are great. I think ATRs are great, but like I said, I would go off what you're comfortable with. If you find that you are frustrated with the amount of profit that you gain from a move because ATR has technically taken that away, then I would just try it out without using your ATR. Put it in a place where you feel is an appropriate place. Just be aware that if you're not trading from an extreme, price may go seek those lows or highs where you've placed your stop loss, might take you out and then continue in the direction that you were sort of anticipating. And if that does happen, then you might think, okay, well, I'll go back to using my ATR stops rather than just kind of placing them above highs and lows. Sometimes if you're not using ATR and you're kind of going for that really tight stop loss, you're probably going to get knocked out a couple of times before the move anyway. So you've got to make sure that your stop management or your risk management's really good, that you're able to kind of jump on another potential position without, making sure you've 3% down before you've even, took the correct trade. So tight stop losses, they can work in your favor, obviously. I try and get my stops as tight as possible if I can. If I can't, then I'll put them below sort of real key areas where I'm comfortable. But they can work in both ways. If you start using tight stop losses and then you find that you're losing more, it can really knock your confidence. So sometimes it's just better the devil you know, really, and go for a ATR stop which you're comfortable with. But the only thing I could say, Vincent, is because I don't know the way you trade, I don't know your strategy or anything like that. The only person that knows that is you. You just test it. I'd say test it. I would even maybe look at your old trades and see what would have happened if you used a tight stop versus your ATR. Would you have gained anything out of it? If you would have gained out of it, how much? Would it have affected your account? How would that have affected your sort of positioning overall? And just see which one works the best. Can give you a bit of an idea. Right, guys, we've been running for about 50 minutes. I like to run about 40 minutes or so. So I'm going to leave it there. Like I said, we've had a really good week this week. So, yeah, happy with sort of the trades that I did and with the performance of the strength meter as well and the analysis. But still some really good charts to watch. Swiss yen, I think, is a good one to look out for. Like I said previously as well, I like the idea of dollar yen heading up towards 151.80. Dollar index is pulling back a little bit now, but we have rejected 103.50, so maybe the dollar can still remain fairly bullish. We'll have to wait and see there as well. But yeah, other than that, I like dollar Swiss, dollar yens, and whatnot. So enjoy the rest of your trading week, guys. I hope you have a good rest of your trading day today. I will be back on Tuesday for a live stream, but you can catch up on all of the updates on our YouTube channel, Blueberry Markets. So yeah, I will catch you around. If you have any questions, feel free to drop me a message. If you do have access to the VIP trading room with Blueberry Markets, you can drop me a DM there as well if you want to have a chat. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for joining me. I'll give a few shout outs as well. Royston, thank you. Vincent, Irfan, Dennis, Paolo, Timothy, thank you for all joining in today and dropping some comments. So yeah, have a great rest of your day, guys, and I'll speak to you soon.